Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting of August 22nd, 2024. My name is Vern Crow, and I am the chairperson of the commission. The Planning Commission is a citizens' body appointed by the City Council. The commission is empowered to make final decisions on certain matters, with those being appealed to the City Council. On other matters, the commission acts in an advisory role to the council, with the council making the final decision. You will have an opportunity to address the commission during the public hearing portion of the meeting. Your testimony is appreciated and encouraged. The commission acts from a written agenda. You will need to fill out a yellow speaker card and give it to the city staff if you wish to speak on an item. Copies of the agenda and the speaker cards are located on the table just outside the main door of these chambers. At this time, please be sure to silence your cell phones. There are 7 members appointed to the Planning Commission. At this time, I will ask the commissioners to introduce themselves and state the district they are representing. Starting from my far right, Commissioner Crow.
Here. Tom Cole, Barrel District. Edwin Nyberg, Choya District. Rusty.
Martin Novakowski, Yucca District.
John Gears, Ocotillo District.
Brian Hooper, Suoro District.
Vern Crow, and I represent Cactus. Okay. Let the record show that all members of the Planning Commission are present. The Planning Commission receives staff assistance and guidance from the Planning Division and the City Attorney's Office. Now on to approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of June 27th, 2024 Planning Commission's regular meeting minutes?
So moved. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of June 27th, 2024 Planning Commission regular meeting as written. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Perry, are there any withdrawals or continuances this evening?
Good evening, Chairperson Crow and Commissioners. This is not on the agenda. ZTA 24-01, a zoning text amendment amending the variance criteria. It was originally scheduled for today's public hearing, so postcards went out and it was published in the newspaper, but staff needed to reschedule that for the September 26th public hearing meeting. So I just wanted to go on record and be transparent just in case someone in the audience was here for that item.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this item? Okay. The purpose of the public hearing is to provide interested parties an opportunity to present testimony for the Commission's consideration. We will follow the same procedures for each item this evening, and that will be, I will call the application number and the name of the applicant. Staff will present their report and answer questions from the Commission. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation and answer questions from the Commission. Other persons who wish to testify will be asked to do so and answer questions from the Commission. The applicant will have an opportunity to close the comments. Staff will be asked for any final comments on the application and procedural guidance. I will then close the public hearing and ask for a motion prior to further discussion from the commissioners. If you wish to speak on an item, you will need to state your name and address for the record when you come up to the podium. Please be brief and to the point and avoid repetition. I reserve the right to limit the length of the testimony, which will be 3 minutes. All exhibits shown to the Commission become part of the permanent record and must be submitted for the file. Large groups should designate a spokesperson. Applause or other disruptions which delay the hearing will not be tolerated. This evening we have 5 public hearing items. Our first agenda item is case number GPA 22-08 along with ZON 2218. Mr. Lerma will present the case.
I'm going to start from the beginning. No, okay. Site is located west of the southwest corner of 83rd Avenue and Glendale Avenue. The site is approximately 3.3 miles west of City Hall. Subject property is 6 acres in size and is located within the Yucca district. Again, here's the general plan, land use designation map. The request is to, again, change the land use designation to medium high density residential 12 units to the acre, and subsequently to rezone the property from multifamily residential to multifamily residential mobile home, manufactured home, park overlay district. Here's the conditions of the site. The site is currently being used as a single family residence and for agricultural purposes. The site to the north is Central Christian Church. Property to the west is the Catania single family residential subdivision. To the south is going to be the West Plaza single family residential subdivision. And to the east is the Shamrock Mobile Home Park. The application is, or the intent of this project is to further expand on the existing Shamrock Mobile Home Park. Before you are the site description of the project and what it entails. Again, the project size is going to be, or the expanded area is going to be 6 acres. But within this expanded 6 acres, the applicant intends to locate 54 additional mobile home spaces. Each space is required to have a minimum of 3,000 square feet. A perimeter landscaping area will be located within the west side of the site and the south side of the site, adjacent to single-family residential uses. Within this open space track area is going to be a walking path, and this expanded site is going to be required to meet the requirements of a mobile home park through the Unified Development Code. Here is the open space plan that was provided as part of the PAD. This shows not only the proposed expanded site with those amenities and open space areas, but also showing the existing mobile home park. This proposal brings a great opportunity to further make modifications to the existing amenities that are within the existing portion of the mobile home park. Those amenities that include benches, associated shade trees, barbecue stations, ramadas, seating areas, basketball courts, dog parks, tot lot areas, and a large non-programmed turf area to accommodate several activities. The applicant has completed the citizens outreach process, as you can see here within the dates. Based on the long period of the review process, the applicant was required to conduct 2 separate neighborhood meetings. The first one was conducted November 9th, 2022, and subsequently on June 26, 2024. Within these meetings, there were 3 people that were in attendance. Those that attended had questions about the leasing regulations to the site and the leasing duration for the mobile home park. Staff has concluded their review of this project and has made the following findings. That the proposal for the mobile home park, manufactured home park overlay expansion will continue to provide housing options for this Glendale residents. Originally, the mobile home park was established in the early 1960s as an alternative housing type, and throughout the years has little by little been expanding based on the demand of these type of housing type on this type of housing types. The site is located within a centralized location with Westgate and the Loop 101 to the west and the downtown area to the east. The centralized location near employment areas provides potential residents with an opportunity to work near the place of residence. The proposal is not necessarily for new development, but an expansion of an existing development. With this, the applicant proposes to use the access point that has already been established through Glendale Avenue to the site. Going back to the to the open space plan, you can see here that the access point has already been established on Glendale Avenue. Furthermore, on-site improvements will be done. Currently, the driving aisles internally that are diagonal and in a cul-de-sac area, these cul-de-sac areas will be eliminated and punched through further out westbound with a hammerhead. Stay here on this site. The project presents some challenges based on lot configuration. We have a fairly small, narrow lot with not a lot of options as far as other entitlements or other uses that could be placed on the site. Another thing to keep in mind is all the surrounding established uses that are already on site. Proposing some type of commercial or industrial type of development will have a greater impact on the surrounding properties. Mitigation elements have already been discussed. Again, per the previous discussion, the project will be providing a screen wall and landscaping area, substantial landscaping area to the already established residential uses to the west and to the south of the project. With this, staff makes a recommendation of approval to approve GPA 22-08 and also a recommendation of approval for ZON 22-18. This recommendation comes with two stipulations. The first stipulation is as follows. Stipulation number 1, development shall be in substantial conformance with the project narrative and the conceptual site plan, date stamp May 15, 2024, and a 65 right-of-way dedication along Glendale Avenue, in addition to a 6-foot wide concrete sidewalk and landscaping buffer. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this concludes my presentation for this item.
Thank you, Mr. Lerma. Gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Lerma. Okay, would the applicant or applicant's representative like to come forward, state your name for the record, and make a presentation with any changes, additions, or recommendations?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your record. My name is Taylor Earl with the law firm of Earl & Curley. Our address is 3101 North Central Avenue in Phoenix. Appreciate that we've been working on this case for a while with staff, and we appreciate their help in working through it. I'm going to go through and try not to repeat information, but talk through a little bit of some additional factors here. So here as we show the vicinity map, we're sort of pulling back just for a moment and looking at the fact that we are within we might call this sort of second ring of that Westgate area, in which the city has really taken a much different view of this area for the better, and has put in a lot of great uses in this area. Has also increased density and multifamily housing up into this area as well. So when we think about the general plan, to remember that the general plan was put in place a long time ago. And so as we come in to make a modification, we always ask those questions as appropriate. We believe that putting in this type of sort of medium density makes a lot of sense, particularly with regard to the fact that it's right there connected to the existing mobile home park. So you can see here the site's relationship to that Westgate area, again, sort of in maybe as what we might call the second ring between 83rd and 91st Avenue. As Alex mentioned, this is a very difficult parcel to develop with really anything else. It's what we might call sort of a bowling alley parcel, right? Very skinny and very long. And so if you thought about, well, what else could go here? By the time you put in a drive aisle on one side and parking, you'd be pretty much hard pressed to find much else you could do here. The site does have existing R3 zoning, which means it could allow for a two-story multifamily if you were creative and could figure out a way to do it. But as we went to the community, one, of course, the benefits of this, and you've heard it many times before, when you do infill development, the first place my brain goes to, and probably yours too, is what about views into backyards? Because we always know neighbors are concerned when they haven't had a view and then they get one. And so here, by being able to put in something that's already effectively east of them and not introducing new views into the yards, we think it's a nice compatibility. You can see here the way that just plays nicely. In some sense, it seems like a natural fit, maybe something that ought to have been done a long time ago. But what's important about this existing mobile home park is it's a known entity. This family, the Davis family, has owned this park for decades, truly decades. And so when they came to us, and of course there's a companion case on that parcel to the east that we'll talk about here in a moment, But as we looked at this sort of west side, we thought through what could be done on this. And as we worked with staff, this really just seemed like a natural fit. You're able to use the existing roadway connections that can just punch through to the west. And then we can use the existing emergency access points. And as staff mentioned, I think one of the great things that we worked on was how do we improve the common area open space within the existing park that these new residents would use, but then also our existing residents would have the benefit of. And so I think Alex used a nice way to phrase it, that it's a nice opportunity to sort of enhance the existing park with this new set of, kind of top line revenue that comes in from this that helps fund some of those areas as well. Obviously, we know affordability is an interesting dilemma that we're faced with all across the valley, and Glendale's no exception to that. And you have mobile homes or manufactured homes are a great alternative to that. We have particularly as we have folks that are retired, they may be on a fixed income. That fixed income hasn't somehow gone up with the price of bread. And so housing becomes even more important because there isn't just let me go find a different job. Let me just move. It becomes much more difficult in those later stages. But you also even have young families too that are struggling with that. And so this provides a nice opportunity. The average price of single wide mobile home is $86,300, while double wide costs about $160. That's a lot cheaper than we're seeing. You hear the phrase sort of starter home. Well, a lot of these developers building starter homes, they're not really starter homes, particularly with incomes not coming up with the price of homes. So again, a great option that we're putting in here. This was alluded to earlier, but something that we're doing as an accommodation to the neighbors to the west is that we're going to be installing a ficus hedge that would go across the west property line. And so we put in some examples of other places where this is done here in the valley so that it creates a really nice landscape treatment up along our west border between us and that existing single family neighborhood. And again, this is the map that Alex referred to that shows where those open space amenities would be. We're still going to be programming that, but it would be a mixture of both active and passive open space areas. In like a little soccer area, a little area that's open that doesn't have programming so that people can throw a frisbee or kick a soccer ball, things like that. Okay, and Alex went through this, and if you read through the packet, you saw some of the questions that were asked. Related to security, and we do have security. If you of course want to know about the quality of the homes and whether those are going to be regulated. There was a reference to is there CC&Rs, and of course under a lease situation you don't have CC&Rs. That's under an ownership model. But sure, there's a rental agreement. There's standards, allows us the opportunity if there's something that's not meeting our community standards, then there's authority under the lease agreement to make sure that we can put that into conformance. So again, some of the key points here, we feel like this is a use that's needed, and this is a great location for it. Provides for attainable housing. It's good compatibility with what's both east and west of it, and we believe that there's really good buffers put in with the landscape treatment. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Commissioners, anything for Mr. Earl? Commissioner Gears?
Yeah, so at this time, they wouldn't necessarily all be new, but what I would say is that the cost of moving manufactured homes is relatively high, and so there's a high likelihood that those would be new, but typically there is, essentially people would be leasing it. To the extent that we provide those, they would expect that they would be new. If somebody in theory moved one of their manufactured homes to that site, in theory they could move it. But like I said, economically the cost is fairly substantial to move them, and so a lot of times they often stay in the location that they are. But again, they would have to, the controlling factor, I think at sort of the heart of your question, is that we would still have standards within our lease agreement to make sure that they meet all of our standards that are existing on the to the east of it in the existing park area as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Earl.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Mr. Lerma, anything further?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, no other comments.
Thank you. Okay, I do not have any speaker cards, but are there any members of the audience that would like to speak on this issue? Okay, hearing none and seeing none. The public hearing for case number GPA 22-08 and ZON 22-18 is now closed. Items will be voted on separately. Do I hear a motion for GPA 22-08?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Nowakowski?
I move to recommend approval of GPA 22-08 as written.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further comments or discussions by the commission on GPA 22-08? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve case number GPA 22-08 as written. I will now conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe,
Aye.
Commissioner Cole,
Aye.
Commissioner Nyberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski,
Aye.
Commissioner Gears,
Aye.
Commissioner Hooper.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number GPA 22-08 has been recommended for approval as written. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair, your recommendation with respect to GPA 22-08 is not final. Your recommendation will be forwarded to the City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Okay, now commissioners, do I hear a motion on ZON 22-18?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Nowakowski?
I move to recommend approval of ZON 22-18, subject to the following stipulations. Do I need subject to the following two stipulations that were already spoken of. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, any further discussion or comments regarding ZON 22-18?
Do we have a second?
Do we have a second?
Chair, I'll second the motion. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve case number ZON 22-18, subject to stipulations as outlined by staff. I will now conduct a roll call vote. Starting from my far right, Commissioner Crowe,
Aye.
Commissioner Cole,
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski,
Aye.
Commissioner Gears,
Aye.
Commissioner Hooper,
Aye.
Chairperson votes aye. Case number ZON 22-18 has been recommended for approval, subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair, your recommendation with respect to ZON 22-18 is not final. Your recommendation will be forwarded to the City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Our next agenda item is case number GPA 22-09 and ZON 22-17. Mr. Lerma will present the case.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, before you have two requests. First request is for a minor general plan amendment for the site from medium density residential and office to corporate commerce center. And the second request is for the change in the zoning classification from multifamily to planned area development. Subject property is located 3 miles west of City Hall. It's a 17-acre site that is located within the Yucca district. Again, the general plan requirement or the general plan proposes to change the land use designation from medium density residential to corporate commerce centers, and subsequently for the planned area development classification. The site is near the project that was just presented before you. This is a site that's located on the southwest corner of 83rd Avenue and Glendale Avenue. The conditions to the site are that it's vacant and it has historically been used for agricultural purposes. Property to the property to the north is currently being used as a commercial lot. Property to the west is the Shamrock Mobile Home Park, which is discussed. Property to the south is the West Plaza Single Family Residential Subdivision. And the property to the east is the San Bellino Apartments and the G83 Planned Area Development. There's a conceptual site plan depicting what the developer intends to do with the site. As you can see here, the site is abutting Glendale Avenue to the north, 83rd Avenue to the east, and Ocotillo to the west, or to the south, sorry. The project consists of an infill project that is dedicated to recreational vehicle resort. As a recreational vehicle resort, the proposal is to provide 166 total RV spaces with different sizes, back-end space sizes, pull-through space sizes, and adventure camper van space sizes. The intent of the project is not to allow a long-term stay, but for rent fees structures to be set on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. As you can see here, the project, the primary point of access to the project is going to be along 83rd Avenue. There is a point of access along Glendale Avenue that will only be used for emergency access or secondary access. The amenities to the site are going to be centralized with minor amenities distributed throughout the site. Those amenities include a high-end clubhouse with small convenience store, office space, fitness center, a community kitchen, an entertainment room, activity and game room, a laundry station, shower, restroom facilities, and additional amenities will include a large resort-style swimming pool, a seating area, a barbecue area, a ramada, a lounging area, a tot lot, and a multi-use sports court. Some of the buffering elements or mitigation elements that the project has imposed on the site are going to be mostly directed to the south along the single-family residential area. The applicant is distributing a 25-foot open space buffer with an 8-foot wall within the south boundary of the project. Along the west portion of the site, along the west boundary, the applicant is proposing a 10-foot landscaping buffer with a 6-foot perimeter wall. The area adjacent to the existing commercial lot already has an existing full wall, and landscaping will be distributed within those boundary areas as well. Here's a conceptual rendering of the conceptual elevations of the clubhouse and conceptual elevation of the primary point of access along 83rd Avenue. The applicant has completed the citizens outreach process. Similar to the project that was presented before, based on the review period, the applicant was required to have 2 neighborhood meetings. The first one was conducted on November 7th, 2022, and subsequently on June 26, 2024. At this meeting, there were 6 attendees to the meeting. Those who attended the meeting had questions regarding site management, length of stay, and the proposed amenities that the applicant will be proposing to the site. Staff finds that the project is a unique project. It's not something that's really that the city of Glendale really has. The project serves not only as an infill project, but also as a transitional element in itself, identifying the single-family residential to the south, and you could even say to the west, and transitioning over to a commercial lot on the corner. This will serve both as a transitional use and as a buffer. The additional allowed land uses provided for the will provide alternative opportunities to develop the site with a mix of uses while still maintaining the objective of a transitional land use. Adequate buffering will be achieved through site design by implementing physical buffers in the form of landscaping and also as perimeter walls and building setbacks as well. Although the project itself is mainly focused on a recreational vehicle resort, the framework of the PAD also has other entitlements or other land uses in place as a secondary option. The planned area development has kept the multifamily land use that's already in place, and has also proposed other commercial uses to the site. As you can see through the plan, through the PAD narrative, there are development standards specifically for the recreational vehicle resort. There's others for the commercial component, and then there's those for the multifamily component as secondary options. This serves as the PD will permit an unused, underutilized, and infill property to develop to better serve the area. They're really taking advantage of their location, keeping in mind of the proximity to Westgate and the Loop 101 and the entertainment and and what it serves, and also to the downtown area. This would be a destination for people that are coming for events, for sports events, and other type of recreational uses that the city of Glendale offers within this area. Infrastructure is already in place along both Glendale Avenue and 83rd Avenue. The site will be working with the transportation department and engineering department in order to provide those off-site improvements that are required in order for the development of this site. The proposal is consistent with a number of goals and policies in the general plan, specifically facilitating infill development on a vacant lot and underutilized properties. With this, staff recommends a recommendation of approval for GPA 22-09 and also a recommendation of approval for ZON 22-17 with the following stipulations. Stipulation number 1, development shall be in substantial conformance with the planned area development narrative, date stamp May 15, 2024. Stipulation number 2, development shall be in substantial conformance with the RV Resort conceptual site plan, date stamp May 15, 2024. In the event that the site is developed with other permitted land uses within the PED, the site plan shall be approved as part of the required design review process. Stipulation number 3, dedication of an additional 10 foot of right-of-way along Glendale Avenue to provide a total half-street width of 65 feet shall be required. Half-street improvements shall be included in a 6-foot wide concrete sidewalk and landscaping within the right-of-way. Existing power lines below 69K shall be underground. Stipulation number 4, dedication of an additional 10 foot of right-of-way along 83rd Avenue to provide a total half-street width of 60 feet shall be required. Half-street improvements shall include paving, curb, and gutter, 6-foot wide landscaping, sidewalk, landscaping, and streetlights within the right-of-way. And stipulation number 5, dedication of additional right-of-way along Ocotillo Road to provide a total half-street width of 30 feet from the existing curve west of 83rd Avenue to the 83rd Avenue right-of-way. Half-street improvements shall include roadway, curb, gutter, 5-foot minimum sidewalks, landscaping, and streetlights within the right-of-way. An ADA compliant ramp is required at the intersection of Ocotillo Road and 83rd Avenue. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this concludes my presentation.
Commissioners, anything for Mr. Lerma? Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Lerma, good to see you again. Noticing the traffic study, it does note that there will be less trips generated by this development than a previously considered multifamily development. A couple things come to mind, maybe more of a comment than a question, but the nature of these trips is different than the average commuter. So we've got these large RVs that are going to be coming and going. So I guess I would hope that during the design review process, there's ample area for staging. And one of the questions I'll have for the applicant is how they're planning their check-in and check-out times. I'll follow up with them, but just I urge you in the design review, because folks are going to show up at all hours and they're not going to show up right when it's time to check in, and they're going to need a place to stage. And then also when it is time to check in, there's going to be a lot of vehicles backed up. I know they don't turn over every lot every day, but just something to consider since Glendale doesn't have much experience with this type of development. I'm an RV camper, And I've just seen a lot of situations where plenty of RVs get backed up waiting for that opportunity to check in. So just some thoughts. I appreciate your indulgence.
I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Commissioners, anything else? Commissioner Nowakowski?
On your slide, the finding and analysis, you mentioned the framework allows for mixed-use development. And I thought I heard you say which includes multifamily option. Am I correct or am I mistaken?
The chair, Commissioner Nowakowski, that is correct. So the PAD itself is not exclusively designed for the recreational vehicle resort. One of the things that we discussed with the applicant in the early stages is that we encouraged them to keep the entitlements for the multifamily land use to the site. Another thing that we encourage them to do is to create this as a mixed type of use project, and they through many discussions they agreed that it should be multifamily or should be a mixed use in nature, which is why they also have entitlements for the multifamily and for commercial type of uses.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lerma. Okay, would the applicant or applicant's representative please come forward, state your name for the record, and make your presentation. Mr. Earl.
Thank you. Good to be back. For your record on this item, Taylor Earl with the law firm of Earl and Curley. Address is 3101 North Central Avenue in Phoenix. All right. This case is about marriage, and I'll explain why that is here in a moment. But first, let's meet the groom, shall we? The groom in this context would be, it's RV tourism, right? We're going to find a bride here in a second, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. It sounds like some of commissioners may be familiar with it, may have one as well. But I wanted to provide a little bit of that background on it because this is a segment of the tourism industry that right now Glendale is not capturing in the way that it could. And so that's why this provides such an opportunity to bring that in. But people come from obviously different backgrounds, and as they pursue this, people who are regular RVers, those who are doing it for a vacation, and those who travel like this on a regular basis. Here's some of the statistics associated with it. Again, this is Arizona specific, and this is just from June of 2022, but it's a $3 billion economic impact just in this alone. And if you look at, so they broke it out there, and if you look at the RV campground and travel is $1 billion in and of itself. And then as you go through the next, there in the white at the bottom, it talks about the amount of jobs, wages, retail, tax revenue. So this is a very big economic potential that comes from folks who are coming in as part of, again, tourism industry, people coming in to spend money in Glendale. Because of our positioning so close to the Westgate area, we have really just a lot of potential in that regard. Some other, there we go. Just some interesting facts here. On average, RV owners use their RV 27 days per year. Again, if they're owners of one, 75% say owning an RV simplifies the travel process. Makes sense. You don't have to go, fly, get a car, then get to the hotel. It's all together. 61% of vacation time where RV was used. So again, of their vacation time, they use the RV in 61%. And then 74% say RVs make travel convenient for any age or physical condition. If you haven't seen the inside of an RV recently, this is a photograph of one. It kind of shows you the, again, very comfortable environment that you can live within. Again, sort of has nice furnishings, and of course they range in prices. Here's one, sort of a pull behind, again, very nice couch sort of living environment, kitchen area, bedroom, bathroom, things inside. And then something a little bit more on the higher end. This one, for example, is over $500,000. So pretty remarkable the amount that can be spent on these. And again, that groom has no bride nearby, right? So what's the bride here, right? The Westgate area. And so everything that's happening in all of the Westgate that the city has put so much time, so much effort into, and has been remarkably successful. And you start to ask yourself, is there a better place in the entire West Valley for this type of use? And I would say no, because I don't think anywhere in the West Valley can tout what Westgate area in the entertainment district has brought. And so in terms of us trying to bring tourism for all of the things that are here, in my mind, there is no better place in all of the West Valley. So here, again, some of the shopping, and then you have all the sporting events. We have the concerts coming in with the new resort. I've had a chance to tour that. It's remarkable. And of course, we have all the existing concert venues, and then of course with the new Mattel Adventure Park that's coming in, golf, and more golf. We have all of that. Of course, outdoor adventures. So again, we have this sort of this user, right? This tourism, this section of the tourism industry, all these RV users. We have this great destination, but we don't have a place for these people to go. In fact, as we were going through this process, La Mesa RV, one of the gentlemen there came out, was consulting and assisting the client to understand this kind of this use and the best way to design it, and said that he had received sort of regular calls asking, hey, where do I stay with my RV near the stadium? And again, there's nothing right nearby. You have to go a little further out. And so again, we're losing the opportunity to capture a lot of that. So ultimately, this site creates an opportunity that's not there today. And I hear wedding bells, right? But in all seriousness, we do think this is an opportunity that's not there today. And so to us, this makes absolute sense that this type of use needs to be in this area. And in our mind, the location, and given our proximity to that, as I sort of mentioned in the last case, we're in that sort of second ring. And again, if you were in that first ring, it probably doesn't make sense to have it there because it does require a little bit more land. You have height and density when you get close to the stadium, but you get in that sort of second ring where you're still in the influence or still in the shadow of it. But you're not needing to the price for the land, that you don't need quite the same heights. So again, in our mind, this is the perfect location here. This is sort of a rendering that we put together to show what that looks like. To the commissioner's question earlier, we have put in a very, very long queue space to accommodate to exactly what was being referenced there, to make sure that there is sufficient queuing space. The check-in process would be automated, and so people would get on, they would register online. That allows them to see the lease agreement and all the rules and regulations. But in that sense, the arrival times, it would be regulated similar to how an Airbnb would operate. You would have the thing sent to your phone, you can check in. And frankly, if there ever became an issue where we were having everybody at 11 o'clock, there's nothing that prohibits us from staggering the times. Different than we got to get the cleaning service in and they always come in the morning, and so we're turning the rooms over at the same time. We could simply spread them out and say, well, your check-in time is 3 o'clock and yours is, so that we have that ability with that automated system. Again, this shows you sort of bird's eye view. Again, we still have to go through design review, of course, but the intent is shown here, which is that we want this to be a very beautiful arrival. This is to be at a luxury level. We want to attract those users who have expendable income, who can afford the RV, who can then come spend money in Glendale. And so we want this to be commensurate with that type of clientele. Here's a zoom in kind of that amenity area. I'll walk you through what the amenities we're planning here. So first we have, sort of the tot lot area for the kids, but then also we have the pool area, and there's a little bocce court there, pickleball, the little market that would be on the inside of the clubhouse, and then of course the clubhouse itself. And so we really took a lot of time to put a lot of amenities into this so that we could make sure we were attracting and retaining and having good reputation amongst those types of users, because word travels in that community. Here's sort of a conceptual representation of the clubhouse. Again, trying to elevate it, have a really nice appearance. Obviously, this isn't our clubhouse, but this is sort of a representative example. As we found one said, yes, this is the level of quality that we're trying to achieve with our clubhouse here, where people can come in, they can rest in the air condition. There'll also be a place to watch movies. And so if they want to sort of get out of their RV, they can come into this place here. Here's just a list of the amenities that we put in place. Also, one I didn't highlight earlier is a dog park. Obviously, a lot of little furry friends come, and we'd have a place for them to be as well. We'd have showers and restroom facilities. You know, obviously, these RVs mostly have their own showers, but if somebody wants to come into something a little more elbow room, they can come into the one that we have as well. Again, sort of a zoom in of where that's positioned amongst the sort of an excerpt of the site plan that Alex showed you earlier. And as you see the way the entrance is positioned, so that as you're coming down that entry, that sort of grand entrance, you're seeing right into that clubhouse. So it's the thing that you would visually see as you pull in. As Alex mentioned, we have different spaces for different types. So we have pull-through type spaces here where there's even space for somebody to park a car either behind or in front of their RV. And then we also have back-in spaces that you see here. And then you may see, if you may be familiar with some of these upgraded van type campers that are out there today. They almost look like one of those little Amazon delivery vans, but you go inside and there's a bed and there's quite a bit inside. And so that's something that came up later in the process. We thought that's a good idea to make sure that we have that accommodated for within what we're doing. Also, just highlight here that each site will have its own little patio space. It'll have its own turf area. Every site has a tree, and we've taken the picnic tables and made those every other site. And that's intentional because some individuals who say, well, I don't eat outside, I'm going to eat inside my RV, they would prefer to have a little more open space that's not structured with a table. And so we knew that there's different types of clientele with different preferences. So we intentionally put those every other, but made sure that everybody's getting grass and a tree and a patio space. Again, similar to what I mentioned in the other case, we're using that same type of ficus hedge. We're using that along the south side. That's also being done on the west side against the existing mobile home park that, again, owned by the same owners, but putting there as an accommodation to those folks. So again, important points. Again, we see this as an ideal location, that sort of second ring around the Westgate area. We're capturing a segment of that tourism industry that's not being captured. All of the tax and economic benefits that's come into the Glendale restaurants and shopping and entertainment. And we see it as compatible, similar to what we said earlier about, existing R3 entitlements. And while we are retaining some of that entitlements, as we talked with staff, our intent is to do what you've seen here. If our intent was to do multifamily, we would have done it with the multifamily zoning that we've had. In fact, the owners have been contacted, you can imagine, multiple times by multifamily developers to do multifamily here. And again, this is something that this family has owned, and this is not an expansion of the mobile home park, but it is a harmonious use that's a little bit different that they want to put in next door. Again, the other thing too is that as people we've heard from people who have family and friends who come into Glendale and they have their RV, where do they park? If not prohibited by the city, then certainly prohibited by a lot of the HOAs, where you're not going to be parking on the street. There isn't really sufficient space. So do you send them to the Walmart and hope that they can do okay in the back part of the lot? I mean, this is an actual issue. And so we're providing that opportunity for visitors who are already coming here. And then again, designing it at that luxury level. So with that, Mr. Chair, thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, sir, for your reference to my earlier comment. Just your busy time of the year is going to be when the weather's nice here. And so that's just my commentary is that school's in session. And so that's where traffic really gets bad in Glendale. And so I like your reference to the automated system where you can stagger check-in times. That's huge. Yeah. Huge improvement in development. So thank you for that.
Yep.
Commissioner Hooper.
I think it's a great idea. I like this idea. One thing that I did see though is in the aerial of the pull-in, you have the dividers in the middle of the road. If I'm pulling my 40-foot cab over with a 4-door truck, there's no way you're going to make that turn off 83rd Avenue. So obviously that could be adjusted. Mm-hmm. Has there been any thought to like a pork chop being put in to allow time or space for them to be able to pull in and not slow down traffic as much?
Yeah, so to your point, yeah, you're absolutely right. So at this stage, that's a great issue that we're going to go through with traffic and make sure that all the turning radii, because we will probably have the greatest interest of anybody in the area to making sure that that turn is right, because it's going to rip up our stuff, and our customers are going to say, "Are you kidding me? I can't even make the turn," right? So absolutely, that'll be looked at carefully. And then, if that median, obviously it's a nice aesthetic, but if ultimately we just deem it better to simply not be there or be pulled back so that you can pull in and have a nice wide entrance, do we need to take the corners and broaden those out? So all of that will be things that will absolutely be needed to be looked at in the design review process.
And then these are full hookup sites, right?
They are, yeah, good question. So it'll have both sewer, water, and power, 30
cool.
and 50.
That was my questions. Thank you.
Yep.
Chairman?
Commissioner Gears?
The question I have is this going to be a high-end type RV park mostly for the big motorhomes?
Well, let me answer the two questions that are part of that. Not just for motorhomes. We would trailers, pull behinds, those would be appropriate. Again, some of the vans that we mentioned. Exactly what clientele will come, that remains a little bit to be seen with the market. Are we designing it at the luxury level? The answer to that question is yes. And that's been done very intentionally. And part of what we worked on with staff over the past, 2 years or so, was figuring out those amenities. So we did our research right at the time of how do we, put in things that are luxury, but making sure they would be utilized, they're worth the bang for the buck. All of that was done as part of the research. And of course, things can always be touted as luxury, but you look at things like amenities and you have to ask the question, is it justified at the particular location? I can say I'm doing, top tier multifamily if I do it in an area where you say, you're not going to get the rents back out of that, meaning that by the time you start doing your pro forma market studies, you're going to start value engineering. Well, here, given everything we have in the area, we absolutely believe that what we need to put in the rents to justify the amenities that we can get because of everything happening in the area, because of the draw that's already there.
Okay, thank you. Are you targeting winter visitors for long-term stays?
No, targeting, no. The intent of this is for us to have short-term stays. We do have a few long-term stay spaces at the mobile home park. So to the extent that somebody said, I love it here, I want to stay, I want to stay for a year, there's a place for them to do that next door, assuming that there's availability. But the intent here is for this to be short-term stays. That's why we put into our narrative, and Alex alluded to it. If you decide you want to stay 2 months, you don't get a bulk discount for that. Be similar to the way a hotel would effectively regulate long-term stays. So there would be a week, a month, daily, weekly, monthly rates. But beyond that, you don't get any type of bulk discount. So there's no incentive for you to stay. So the rates will stay at that higher rate. So again, no intent for us to sort of target that market per se. Again, we have that next door. This is more of a hospitality focus.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
Thanks for addressing the multifamily and how the owner feels about it right now, and this is what they intend to do. So I really thank you. And when Mr. Lerma mentioned that this is unique, I think it really is, for the city, the neighborhood even. I live in that neighborhood. And one of the things, I live in the HOA area that is really strict. If you know anything about Glendale, on-street parking of any kind is pretty strict. And especially if you're in the HOA area. So this is a solution to not only for tourism, but family visitors coming down, with a fifth wheeler or a toy hauler or bumper pool kind of trailer. So I think it adds to the area and to the uniqueness of Westgate, the stadium. We have a casino, and hey, we're unique. We have an Air Force base even. So I think it's a great addition to the neighborhood. And as long as it's not 2-story RVs, I'm okay with it.
They probably are. Anybody else, commissioners? Thank you, Mr. Earl.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I do not have any speaker cards, but are there any members of the audience that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Lerma, anything additional?
Mr. Chair, no additional comments.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the public hearing for case number GPA 22-09 and ZON 22-17 is now closed. Items will be voted on separately. Do I hear a motion for GPA 22-09?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Cole,
I move to recommend approval of GPA 22-09 as written.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioners, are any further comments or discussions regarding GPA 22-09? Okay, hearing none, I have a motion and a second to approve case number GPA 22-09 as written. I will now conduct a roll call vote, starting from my far right, Commissioner Crowe,
Aye.
Commissioner Cole,
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski,
Aye.
Commissioner Gears,
Aye.
Commissioner Hooper.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number GPA 22-09 has been recommended for approval as written. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair, your action with respect to case number GPA 22-09 is a recommendation that will be forwarded to council.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Commissioners, do I hear a motion for ZON 22-17?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Cole,
I move to recommend approval of ZON 22-17, subject to the stipulations in the Planning Commission report.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Are there any comments or discussions from the commissioners at this time on ZON 22-17? Hearing none, I have a motion and a second to approve case number ZON 22-17, subject to stipulations as outlined by staff. I will now conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe,
Aye.
Commissioner Cole,
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski,
Aye.
Commissioner Gears,
Aye.
Commissioner Hooper.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number ZON 22-17 has been recommended for approval, subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair and Commission, your action with respect to ZON 22-17 is a recommendation that will be forwarded to council.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Our next agenda item is case number GPA 23-05 and ZON 23-07. Mr. Lerma will be presenting the case.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Before you have an item, within this item, there's two requests as well. A minor general plan amendment to change the land use designation from planned commercial and business park to entertainment mixed use. And the second request is to change the zoning classification from planned area development to planned area development. Subject property is located 5 miles west of City Hall. The subject site is 19 acres in size. It is located on the northwest corner of 99th Avenue and Glendale Avenue, and it is located within the Yucca District. Again, the request is to change the land use designation to entertainment mixed use and to change the zoning classification to planned area development. As you can see here on the zoning map, the property right now is located within two separate planned area developments. Zoning case 1510, which is the Westgate Healthcare Campus, and ZON 2101, which is the 99th Avenue and Glendale planned area development. The current conditions of the site is that it is vacant. The property to the north is part of the St. Joseph Westgate Medical Center. Property to the south are existing commercial office uses. Property to the east is the Glendale Park and Ride, and properties to the west is a new development, multifamily development, identified as Springs at Westgate. Here's a conceptual site plan of what the project entails. The proposal is to develop the site in 3 different phases. Phase 1 and phase 2 are going to be multifamily in nature to multifamily projects. Combined, we'll be offering 239 multifamily residential units or 30 dwelling units to the acre. And then further to the east of the site is going to be a commercial building, approximately 13 1,000 square feet for our commercial retail uses. The multifamily project will be phased out in 2 phases. Again, the multifamily project will be 4 stories high, and we'll be offering 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, and we'll be providing either a patio cover or a patio or a balcony, depending on the level. Amenities to the site will include a pool area, a fitness center, a tot lot, a putting green, a pickleball court, a game lawn, and entertainment pavilion. The screening and landscaping requirements revert back to the Unified Development Code for this project. There will be a buffer established between the multifamily development and the commercial lot, with an 8-foot perimeter with an 8-foot block wall and a 15-foot landscaping buffer to divide these 2 projects. Site access is going to be done by way of 3 direct access points and 1 through access point. The multifamily development project to the north will have direct access along Myrtle Avenue. The multifamily project to the south will have direct access along Glendale Avenue through a shared driveway, and we'll be using 99th Avenue, the 2 points of access on 99th Avenue, as secondary access. The commercial lot will have direct access along 99th Avenue to those 2 points of access that are being proposed. Site has completed the citizens outreach process. Through the neighborhood meeting that was conducted November 29, 2023, there was a family that attended the neighborhood meeting and was for the project. No other comments or concerns have been received by staff nor the applicant. Keeping in mind that the areas in the transitional area will land uses that range from commercial, multifamily, office, and mixed use. The proposed entertainment mixed use designation is supported by the development trends of the area. The amendment balances the city's needs for quality housing with employment that supports jobs and provides housing near the 101, near the Westgate Entertainment District, and the mixed-use commercial multi-district of the Desert River Planned Area Development. The proposed amendment furthers the public health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Glendale by proposing additional housing options coupled with new employment opportunities in an area in transition. The amendment is compatible with existing uses that are surrounding the site and those that are planned within that area, within that direct area, with similar uses adjacent that are similar in nature to one another, that provide through the site design will be providing a buffering with landscaping and screen walls to further mitigate this development from adjacent land uses. Connectivity will be provided through both multifamily projects, even though they're separate in nature. They will be providing connectivity through both a pedestrian path and vehicular access to the sites. With this, the planning staff recommends a recommendation of approval for GPA 2305 and a recommendation of approval for ZON 2307. I would like to bring it to your attention the memo that was distributed to the chair and to the planning commission. These are the modified stipulations for this project and would be read based on the modifications that are before you. Stipulation number 1, the development shall be in substantial conformance with the Westgate Mixed-Use Development Plan. PAD narrative, final date stamp received June 15, 2024. Stipulation number 2, dedication of a 65 feet of right-of-way measured from center line to right-of-way line along 99th Avenue with Half Street improvements shall be completed prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for any development on the property. Stipulation number 3, dedication of a 35-foot right-of-way measured from center line on right-of-way line along Myrtle Avenue with Half Street improvements shall be completed prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for any development to the property. Stipulation number 4, installation of a right turn lane for southbound traffic on 99th Avenue at Axis D per approved TIS date stamp May 22nd, 2024. Stipulation number 5, Stipulation number 5, right turn lane Axis D per approved TIS date stamp May 22nd, 2024 would be designed with a minimum of a 150 foot of storage with a 150 foot radius S curved taper, approximately 84 feet. Stipulation number 6, Axis B per approved TIS stamp May 22nd, 2024 will be designed as a right out only driveway. And stipulation number 7, building height for the multi-development standards shall be a minimum of 4 stories. Just to provide reference to stipulation number 4, 5, and 6, I have included the my apologies. Again, just to reference stipulation number 4, 5, and 6, here's a conceptual rendering that shows where axis B and axis D are located. These are identified within the access points on 99th Avenue. With this, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Lerma. Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Lerma. Okay, would the applicant or applicant's representative please come forward, state your name for the record, and make your presentation?
Thank you, Chairman. For your record, my name is Brian Greathouse with the law firm Birch and Cracchiolo. We appreciate you hearing this case tonight. We have a presentation if you would like to hear it. Much of it was already covered by Alex. It's not a bride and groom presentation, but it is a presentation. We appreciate staff's recommendation of approval, and we accept those stipulations 1 through 7 as presented, and we request your recommendation of approval here tonight. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Commissioners, anything for Mr. Greathouse? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do not have any speaker cards for this case. Are there any members in the audience that would like to speak? Mr. Lerma, anything further?
Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you, sir. The public hearing for case number GPA 23-05 and ZON 23-07 is now closed. Items will be voted on separately. Do I hear a motion for GPA 23-05?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Nowakowski,
thank you. I move to recommend approval of GPA 23-05 as written.
Support.
are there any further comments from the commission on GPA 23-05? Okay, hearing none, I have a motion and a second to approve case number GPA 23-05 as written. I will now conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Cole?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg?
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
Aye.
Commissioner Gears?
Aye.
Commissioner Hooper?
Aye. Chair
votes aye. Case number GPA 23-05 has been recommended for approval as written. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair and Commission, your action with respect to case number GPA 23-05 is a recommendation that will be forwarded to Council.
Thank you, sir. Okay, do I hear a motion for ZON 23-07? And remember that in this motion, we want to incorporate the modified stipulations as read into the record by Mr. Lerma. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Nowakowski.
I move to recommend approval of ZON 23-07, subject to the modified 7 stipulations as presented by staff.
Thank you, sir. Are there any comments, further discussion from the commission on ZON 23-07?
Mr. Chair, I'm second the motion.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to make a comment.
Mr. Nowakowski.
I just want to say that, you know, as a mixed-use development, I usually consider a lot of the traffic congestion and the noise pollution that's produced by such a development. In this case, I think it is another unique case because we have the park and ride right across the street. So that's going to reduce, hopefully, the amount of cars that are coming out. And this site, this is one site I really like, multifamily. It's a great area. I have my dentist office right there, physical therapy, pediatrics, the hospital, and then you have Westgate just right there. So everything in great walking distance. So I want to thank you all for bringing this case forward.
Any further comments? Thank you, commissioners. I have a motion and a second to approve case number ZON 23-07, subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. I will conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe.
Aye.
Commissioner Cole.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg.
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Gears.
Aye.
Commissioner Hooper.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number ZON 23-07 has been recommended for approval, subject to stipulations as outlined by staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair and Commission, your action with respect to ZON 23-07 is a recommendation that will be forwarded to the City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Our next agenda item is case number ZON 23-08. And again, Mr. Lerma.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, before you have a request by Summer and CRE, they're requesting to amend the existing landscaping and screening standards for the existing planned area development. Subject property is located 1.9 miles west of City Hall. It's located on the southeast corner of 75th Avenue and Glendale Avenue. The property is 7.46 acres in size and is located within the Ocotillo district. Property has a zoning classification of planned area development. The property received its entitlements on September 14, 2021 through zoning case 2106. Here's a area of the site showing the existing conditions. The property is currently in development, proposing commercial entitlements or commercial services to the site and to the surrounding area. Subject property to the north is a commercial use. Property to the east is a multifamily project identified as Ascenda Glendale, and the property to the east and the south is a single-family residential subdivision identified as Shadow Run. Single-family residential subdivision. Here's a conceptual or the master development plan that was originally provided through the zoning case ZON 2106 which established the planned area development zoning classification. The site is depicted by 5 different commercial pads. 2 of them abutting Glendale Avenue are already in operation, which is O'Reilly's and Black Rock. The 2 pads abutting 83rd Avenue are also already in operation with the Wendy's restaurant and the multi-unit commercial building. The only one that's still in the process of being developed is going to be the one that's located on the southeast corner of the site, which is anticipated to be a Goodwill. The design and the screening standards and the landscaping standards for this planned area development revert back to the C2 zoning classification through the Unified Development Code. Commercial property abutting single-family residential properties require not only a substantial amount of landscaping adjacent to those uncompatible land uses, but also an 8-foot screen wall. This has always been the intent through once the site started being developed and the developer went forward, the first option was to provide two additional feet two additional feet to the existing 6-foot wall that's already been established along the east and the south perimeter of the site. This wall, though, is owned by the subdivision that's abutting the subject property. And that perceived some challenges, or the developer had some challenges with that. The subdivision communicated back that they didn't want the developer to add 2 additional feet to their wall, and that they should pursue other avenues. The second option through the Unified Development Code is to erect their own wall, an 8-foot wall adjacent to the existing 6-foot wall. That also has provided some challenges to the developer. Through the review process, the developer contracted a contractor to do a report on the site conditions to the site, and also an acoustics engineer to see if they could provide additional infrastructure that could mitigate the uses to the site adjacent to those existing uses. There's currently an existing landscaping buffer of 25 feet along the south and the east side of the development. And the resolution for the applicant is to provide additional landscaping to that area. As you can see here, this is the landscaping plan that has already gone through design review and through construction documents, that is showing a row of landscaping of trees along the south and the east perimeter wall. The applicant's resolution is to provide additional landscaping to these already established landscape areas. And here's a proposal for them that would be adding additional landscaping. I think the landscaping that's transparent is the additional landscaping that they're proposing to add to the site. Just a little note that wall section detail that you see there on the side is for the 4-foot screen wall that's required along Glendale Avenue that's already been erected to the site. Going back to this image right here. So going back to the to the subcontractor that did the property conditions report to the site, and the acoustics engineer that was contracted also to provide other resolutions to the site. Going first with to the conditions report that's included within the staff report for the chair and the commission. The conclusion was that the 6-foot wall that's currently on site, that's been erected by the residential subdivision, the footing is actually encroaching to the commercial property about 24 inches or 2 feet to the side. That would mean that if the developer goes the alternative route and erects their own 8-foot wall, you're left with a 2-foot gap between the existing 6-foot wall and this new 8-foot wall. Furthermore, the Unified Development Code requires when there's a wall adjacent to another wall, the requirement is to cap the wall on top and on the sides. This also will provide a challenge based on the separation of the wall and how far they are. Through the acoustic study, the resolution was to provide additional height to the loading area for the Goodwill commercial building that's still not developed, but is in the process of being developed. So that was the resolution that the acoustics engineer came up with, and that's also included within the staff report. The applicant has completed their citizens outreach process. A neighborhood meeting was conducted on April 6, 2023. There was no attendees to said meeting. Staff really wanted to get a response back from the adjacent property owners, especially those that are directly east and southbound of the commercial property, to get additional feedback from them. So city staff sent a notification letter as a second means of doing an outreach to see if they would respond to city staff, and there was no response either from these notification letters that was sent out to the property owners. The only real communication that staff had and the applicant was this letter from the HOA, again indicating that that they didn't want them to add 2 additional feet to their existing wall for maintenance purposes, and that they would recommend either the 8-foot wall or additional landscaping to the site. So they were in full support of the landscaping that's being proposed as the alternative. With this, staff makes the following findings: that the project will continue to meet with the alternative of the additional landscaping. That's not going to divert from the initial proposal or the initial intent of the planned area development. The intent of the planned area development was to provide a mix of commercial uses to the sites and different levels of intensity by removing the screening requirements. That's not going to deviate from the initial intent. The existing development standards have already been put in place for all different types of commercial types. Again, the additional landscaping along the already established 25-foot landscaping buffers will provide an alternative type of buffering to the adjacent residential properties. The existing PAD development standards will continue to facilitate development on the site. Again, the only remaining padded will be the Goodwill anchor piece. And the development will continue to meet all the planned commercial land use designation policies and goals, which is to provide different types of commercial uses to the site. With this, staff recommends a recommendation of approval for ZON 23-08 with the following stipulations. Stipulation number 1, the development shall be in substant. Let me read that back. Stipulation number 1, the development shall be in full conformance with the amended planned area development narrative and the proposed enhanced landscaping date stamped July 10th, 2024. The word full will mean that the developer will need to be in full compliance with the alternative landscaping plan that was provided to staff. That means number of trees, location of trees, and maturity of trees to the site. Stipulation number 2, all proposed mogul acacia trees planted along the property perimeter shall be installed at a minimum of 24-inch box size. And stipulation number 3, the loading dock area wall for the proposed Goodwill commercial building shall be increased to 10 feet. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Lerma. Commissioners, anything for Mr. Lerma?
Chair.
Commissioner Crowe?
Sure. Mr. Lerma, what was the nature of the communication that went to the neighborhood the second time? The first time the neighborhood approved that we were going to put the 8-foot wall in, that's what's required by code. Now we're changing that. What was specifically communicated to them the second time?
Through the citizens outreach and through the notification letter, what was communicated to them was...
What did the letter say the second time? Yep.
Understood. The letter indicated that they were proposing to remove the screening requirements from the PAD and in place locate additional landscaping to the perimeter areas.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. So the final result is they requesting just landscaping with these large trees and a wall. How big of a wall is that going to be, and how long? The entire distance of the Goodwill store?
There's already an existing 6-foot perimeter wall that's owned by the HOA.
Yes, there's a 6, and I don't understand why the HOA said they don't want an 8-foot because they don't want to maintain an 8-foot. When I was there, they haven't very well maintained the 6-foot to begin with. But all the landscaping is already installed on that property. They have a drainage ditch almost up to the 6-foot wall. They got trees, they got grass, and to plant larger trees further away, they're going to have to either fill up that drainage ditch or put them on a slope. And I don't really understand the need for that many more trees since they already have a lot planted.
Per the PAD, the PAD requires them.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Sure. The PAD reverts back their landscaping and screening requirements back to the C2 zoning classification. Per the Unified Development Code, commercial property abutting single-family residential requires an 8-foot wall. That's a requirement. Keeping in mind that currently there's a 6-foot wall in place already owned by the residential neighborhood, the first attempt or the first resolution was to provide 2 additional feet to that existing wall. There was pushback from the HOA based on the fact that they didn't want to maintain an 8-foot wall and that they wanted to keep it 6 feet. The second option through the Unified Development Code is for the property owner to erect their own 8-foot wall. Based on the existing conditions to the site, they're indicating that they're having challenges with erecting their 8-foot wall based on the footing encroaching 2 feet from the existing wall into their property based on the already established landscaping areas to the site. So the city asked the property owner to come up with a resolution if they couldn't build an 8-foot wall. What other alternatives could they propose that would have the same effect, the same immediate effect as an 8-foot wall for buffer and mitigation purposes? The applicant came back and the resolution based on the site work that they've done was to provide additional landscaping. They've indicated that that's basically the only resolution that they could find, alternative of an 8-foot block wall. So right now, the trees, going back to my presentation, so we can compare the landscaping, the landscaping plans. This is the original landscaping plan, and this is showing all the landscaping that's already on site. Most of it is at a mature level. Most of it is at a entry level. Comparing this site plan with the proposed site plan, the landscaping areas are going to be closer to the perimeter landscaping area, meaning you'll see the driving aisles, the curb, and then that open space that's currently there that's dedicated to the landscaping. And that's where they're going to be installing the additional landscaping.
And that's the retaining ditch that they dug so when it rains, that's where they catch all the water. So the trees that they're going to plant have a 12-foot span once they get big. So if they're closer than 12 foot to their 6-foot fence, the HOA is going to be complaining that all those trees are growing over into the neighbors' yards. That's something, I don't know if anybody's considered. Those are pretty large trees once they grow. And then the HOA only required a 6-foot wall because it's not, I guess, commercial. But they encroached a foot or two into the property with their footer. Shouldn't the HOA remove that footer so that the new fence could be put closer to the property instead of 2 feet away? Since it shouldn't really be there.
By removing the footer, the footer is needed in order for the...
Not removing it, but I saw the pictures. There's a lot of extra. You know, the footer's as wide as the fence typically, and they've got an extra foot into the property there, and that's why you can't put a new fence close to it because it's got that sticking out too far. I'm just surprised that the HOA didn't just want 2 more blocks on top and take care of it, because it seems to be to me a big waste of money for the contractor. He's already got landscaping. It was already approved by us years ago, and then they have issues, and it's not the contractor's fault that they can't put up a good block wall. Thank you.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
I did have a tree question also. I was just wondering if city staff, when a like mulga acacia tree comes up, do you have a preferred list of trees based on our desert or, heat environment? Is there a list that when someone comes in saying, I want a acacia tree?
We have, through the chair, Commissioner Nowakowski, we do go by the Arizona low water drought list. That's already been in place through the landscaping requirements. That's the recommendation. Luckily, we also do have a landscaper on staff, and I was able to further discuss the item with her, which is her expertise about the tree type, and if this tree would be a dense tree, would have the expectations that we had for the screening and the buffering requirements.
Yeah. And in regards to the trees, if I'm sitting on a HOA board and I'm thinking about this, and I'm on the east side of this project, and that sun sets in the west, hey, I'd rather have a line of trees screening and shading my backyard environment than 2 blocks. Just thinking of it with this Arizona heat. So that would be a benefit for the HOA and neighborhoods just east of that. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Commissioners? Thank you, Mr. Lerma. Would the applicant or applicant's representative please come forward, state your name for the record, and make your presentation?
Good evening, Chair, Commission. Thank you for taking time looking at the case tonight. I don't have much addition to, I don't have much addition to Mr. Lerma's presentation, but I wanted to point out that there is set maintenance and property management for this property currently, and we have been getting requests to trim or update and refresh some of the landscaping from the HOA representatives, and we address their concerns in a timely manner as designated with the landscape agreement between 2 properties. And just to touch base on the wall item, our structural engineer went on site and did the structural inspection and determined that the approximately 20-year-old wall cannot simply handle extra 2 feet of block. And as Mr. Lerma mentioned, almost 2 feet of footing was encroaching on our site, and there's also great differences between commercial site being a few feet higher than the residential site, and that also concluded some challenges for us to simply placing the wall-to-wall items. And Simon CRE Developers team went door-to-door to all 21 houses abutting the commercial development and asked property owners. Majority of them were renters, and they could not speak to the benefit of the owners. When then we reached out to everybody via certified mail and email, asking guidance or desire and preferences from the property owners, and all of them, including HOA president, agreed that the landscaping will be better solution for this site versus the addition of the wall. Thank you for your time. I'm open to any questions.
Commissioners? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any speaker cards. Are there any members that would like in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Okay. Mr. Lerma, anything additional?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, no further items.
Thank you,
No further
sir.
comments, sorry.
Okay, the public hearing for case number ZON 23-08 is now closed. Do I hear a motion?
Chair, I recommend approval of ZON 23-08, subject to the conditions of staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Crowe. Do I hear a second?
Support.
Commissioners, any further comments on ZON 23-08? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve case number ZON 23-08, subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. I will now do a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Cole.
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg.
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Gears.
Aye.
Commissioner Hooper.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number ZON 23-08 has been recommended for approval, subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair and Commission, your action with respect to case number ZON 23-08 is a recommendation that will be forwarded to the City Council.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our next agenda item is case number CUP 24-04. Ms. Schwinner will present the case. And you have been there the entire meeting, very patient.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. I'm here tonight to present an application for a conditional use permit on behalf of Transcendence Body Work, owned and operated by Brandy McCrae. The applicant has identified a suite of medical offices as the ideal location for her massage therapy business. This suite is located inside of a medical office building that is zoned commercial office. A conditional use permit is required per the Unified Development Code for a massage and spa establishment to operate in the commercial office district. The building is located on 51st Avenue, about halfway between Northern and Olive Avenues in the Cactus District. This is approximately 2 miles northeast of City Hall. The parcel was zoned commercial office through the rezoning application Z8505. There were no stipulations attached to this rezoning case. As you can see, the site is surrounded by commercial office, single-family residential, and general commercial zoned properties. On this aerial image, the site contains 2 access points, one in the southwest corner off 51st Avenue, and one in the northeast corner on Barbara Avenue. There are a number of open parking spaces, as well as a limited number of covered parking spaces available to staff and visitors. Each office suite has direct outdoor access. Ms. McCrae's business is owner-operated. She intends to work with about 20 clients per week and will adjust her office hours to suit her clients' needs. However, all clients will be seen between the hours of 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. She hopes to take on a receptionist in the future, but with 1 treatment room, she does not foresee additional staff. Therefore, she only requires a maximum of 3 parking spaces, and the Transportation Department has determined that no traffic study is required. Per the Unified Development Code, a citizen participation plan must be developed and implemented as part of the conditional use permit process. With that in mind, the applicant sent over 870 notification letters to residents, stakeholders, homeowners associations, and businesses within a 600-foot radius of the property. Of these letters mailed on June 17th, only 2 responses were received, and they were both positive notes of encouragement or well wishes. These responses are included in the citizen participation final report. In addition, 1 tenant of the building, who is also a Glendale resident, phoned into the planning office earlier this week to issue her additional support. Also, notification of the public hearing postcards were mailed July 26th. Notice was published in the Arizona Republic on July 31st, and the site was posted on August 1st. It should be noted that the applicant does not need or intend to make any changes to the building or site. The office suite is move-in ready, so that she only needs to set up her massage table. As previously noted, the suites have direct outdoor access, with doors under the arched portico shown here, and both covered and uncovered parking is open to staff and visitors. In summary, the Planning Commission shall make a decision on the following findings. First, that the proposed use is consistent with the policies, objectives, and land use map of the Glendale General Plan, and that the purpose of the zone district in which the site is located. This project does not require an amendment to the general plan, as the use is consistent with the current land use designation of office. The project is also consistent with the zoning district of commercial office, and the specific use of massage and spa establishments are considered a permitted use with the additional requirement of a conditional use permit. Second, that the proposed use will not be materially detrimental to the health, safety, or general welfare of persons residing or working within the neighborhood of the proposed use, or have an adverse effect on the property, adjacent properties, the surrounding neighborhood, or the city when consideration is given to the character and size of the use and hours of operation. The proposed business will not be materially detrimental to the neighborhood, as all services will be provided inside the professional office and will not produce excessive sounds, smells, or vibrations to disturb surrounding residents or businesses, nor will the owner-operator see clients outside of standard operating hours. Third, that the proposed site is adequate in size and shape to accommodate the intended use, and that all requirements for the zone district, including but not limited to setbacks, walls, landscaping, and buffer yards, are met. The owner-operator will attend to one client at a time, and therefore requires only a waiting room and treatment room, which is accommodated by the 271 square foot office. There are no proposed changes to the existing building, either interior or exterior, and the site meets all current zoning requirements. Fourth, that the proposed site has adequate access to public streets and highways to carry the types and quantity of traffic which may be generated by the subject use, and that on-site circulation is adequate to permit driveways, parking, and loading requirements in a manner which is safe and efficient. The quantity of traffic will not be significantly impacted by this business that will employ a maximum staff of 2 and treat only one client at a time. No changes to on-site circulation or parking are proposed, and 2 existing driveways are adequate to provide site access for staff, clients, and emergency services. And finally, that adequate conditions or stipulations have been incorporated into the approval of the conditional use permit to ensure that any anticipated detrimental effects to public health, safety, and welfare can be mitigated. Based on the proposed scope of work, planning staff recommends only one stipulation. This stipulation has been updated per the planning memo provided to you at the start of this meeting, and it shall read, "The use shall be in substantial conformance with the project narrative dated June 12th, 2024. To conclude, this request meets the required findings for approval. Therefore, staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 2404, subject to the stipulation previously mentioned. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this concludes my presentation for Transcendence Bodywork, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Commissioners,
Chairman?
Commissioner Gears?
Thank you for the presentation. I want to talk to you about the notification. You sent out 800 notifications.
870.
I have this chart here. So was that all of the green and the yellow on the, whatever page that was? The expanded area and the standard area?
It is the expanded area. Per the Unified Development Code, we are required to add properties that fall within, if the 600-foot radius touches a home that is in an HOA,
Okay.
homeowners
HOA,
association,
because on the
it
mobile,
then requires you to send it to all of the
all
members
of
of
them in
the
the
HOA.
HOA, because on the mobile home park and the RV, they're not an HOA, so they only had to send just in that 600 feet. So that's the difference.
Yes.
That's an awful expense. Thank you.
Yes, it is, Commissioner. I'm happy that you commented on that. That was a burden for our client.
Commissioners, Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Schwenner.
Thank you.
Question for you.
Oh, yeah.
When a business comes into Glendale requesting a conditional use permit, and that business is potentially regulated by the state, does the city inquire as to licensure of the applicant?
Commissioner, prior to issuance of a business license for the city of Glendale, several departments are required to review, and the state license of the operator is verified.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, would the applicant or applicant's representative please come forward, state your name for the record, and make your presentation?
Good evening. My name's Brandy McCrae. I don't have a presentation other than I'm just happy to be here, and Amy kind of covered everything. I know that traffic won't be an issue. Obviously, I'm a one-woman show, so I'm not going to, have additional traffic. That would be the only thing that would potentially get in my way or be negatively impacted by the community, but it's not. Other than that, I'm open to any questions.
Commissioners, any further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any speaker cards. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this case? Ms. Schwimmer, anything additional?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I have no further comments.
Thank you. The public hearing for case number CUP 24-04 is now closed. Do I hear a motion?
Chair, I recommend approval of CUP 24-04, subject to the conditions of the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Crowe. Do I hear a second?
Support.
Any further comments from the commission regarding CUP 24-04? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve case number CUP 24-04, subject to the stipulations as outlined by staff. I will now conduct a roll call vote. Commissioner Crowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Cole?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nyberg?
Aye.
Commissioner Nowakowski?
Aye.
Commissioner Gears?
Aye.
Commissioner Hooper?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Case number CUP 24-04 has been recommended for approval, subject to stipulations as outlined by staff. Mr. Gruber, what are the next steps in the process?
Chair and members of the commission, your action with respect to case number CUP 24-04 is final, subject to a written appeal received within 15 days.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Ms. Perry, is there any other business this evening?
Chairperson Crowe, commissioners, there are none.
Are there any planning staff reports?
Also, Chairperson Crowe and commissioners, there's none.
Commissioners, any comments or suggestions? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on an item that's not on tonight's agenda? Okay, hearing none, the next regular meeting of the Planning Commission will be held on September 26th at 6 p.m. here in the Glendale Civic Center. If there's no further business, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.